How's it going, everybody? This is Fabian Sebastian with City Roots TV. We're sitting here with Eric Faddis, a real major attorney in Denver right now, doing a lot of stuff for the community and the youth. And we're here to share his story. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Super psyched to be here.
Cool, cool. I just wanted to start out with, where were you born and when did you realize that you really wanted to start taking criminal justice serious as like a career?
Yeah, I think so. I was born in Aurora, Colorado.
Really?
Yeah, grew up like pretty much 225 in Mississippi.
Right.
So that's sort of where my roots were, and moved before high school to kind of the burbs, but still always maintained that connection with Denver and with Colorado generally. When it comes to criminal justice, I think part of it is I've always been the type to like stand up to the bully, and I couldn't stand like having vulnerable people being picked on, taken advantage of, and so that sort of led me into a role where I can be the voice for a vulnerable individual, and the bullies that I sort of go after now are government overreach and insurance companies that don't keep their promises. Right. And so that sort of mindset led me into wanting to do stuff in the criminal justice realm.
Another question, where did you go to school at? Where did you get your degree and what degree did you get?
Yeah, so first off went to CSU Fort Collins. Okay. Got a bachelor's in psychology up there, which I found to be super helpful in the legal realm. Like, it's good to know what's going on in the prosecutor's head, in the judge's head, in your client's head, and in the jury's head. And so that's definitely served me well. From there, I transitioned on to DU Law School, University of Denver, and got my Juris Doctorate in 2012.
Wow, that's an inspiring thing. So how important do you think it is for our youth to understand their rights in certain aspects and things like that for their own safety? How important is that?
Yeah, I think it's unbelievably critical. So it's so easy for a person to be taken advantage of by their peers, by law enforcement, by prosecutors, judges, and so if one is equipped and sort of armored with the knowledge of their own rights, they're able to assert themselves, and makes it much less likely that they're going to fall into this system, which has plagued so many groups in Colorado and abroad. Right.
Stuff. And the transition of your position from starting as a prosecutor to switching over to the other side of the board to criminal defense. How did your philosophy change in your mind, in the way that you're thinking? For
sure. So I think I was at the Arapahoe County District Attorney's Office and was there for nearly 4 years and prosecuted everything from DUIs all the way up to murders. But what I kind of found is that over time, I saw that aspect of the criminal justice system was doing more harm than good. And they were putting people in a box for like low-level drug offenses, and it became very cyclical. Some of the sentences were unduly harsh for the underlying conduct.
That's really deep.
And so I think I kind of switched from now I want to protect people's futures as opposed to take them away, and it's a much better fit for my personality and my own ethos.
That's pretty cool. Or how do you feel about defending a case that you are kind of opposed to morally?
So it's a good question. Kind of the way that I see it is my role is to defend the Constitution. And so everyone is entitled to a defense, to an attorney, to confrontation, to a trial. And that applies regardless of one's guilt or innocence. And so if my advocacy is in defense of the Constitution, then that is something that I will always be able to sleep with, and something that I take great pride in.
But that's it. What message do you have for the youth as far as whether they want to be in law school or a basketball player or a pilot or anything they want to do when they're in a different kind of environment, a different demographic, what it takes, the perseverance it takes to get through those communities and still be successful?
Certainly. So I think a big part of that is sort of knowing yourself and just looking inside yourself and deciding what it is that you're really passionate about and that you may be skillful. And then from there, you sort of have to operationalize it, and you have to develop a plan, And a big part of that plan is networking, is making connections within that field, is learning from mentors. And so I think that can really help boost someone who is looking to get into a field with that mentorship piece. I know I've had a lot of great mentors throughout the years. And so that is one thing I would say is absolutely make those connections and be open to learning from those who came before you.
Really, well, it was a pleasure having you.
My pleasure's all mine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're doing a lot for the community, you know.
I'm trying.
There's a lot of people that are out there guilty and innocent, you know. So it's always about getting to the bottom of things and doing that.
Yeah.
See the Roots supports you 100%. We're gonna do whatever we can to help the campaign, you know.
Yeah, when CRTV has just been, I think, really instrumental in channeling into the community and showcasing culture and creating culture.
Right.
And so that's why I was so happy that you guys were going to have me on.
We're more than humble too, though, you know. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you guys have been doing a fantastic job, and I'm just so pleased to be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Eric Faddis, everybody.